I'm Jennifer, and 81 years old, and most mornings I wake up with the same thought sitting heavy in my chest. Not fear exactly, more like a quiet knowing. The knowing that whatever I was waiting for never arrived, and whatever I thought I'd get around to has mostly passed me by. I'm not telling this because I want sympathy. At my age, you stop wanting that. I'm telling it because there's a strange clarity that comes when you realize you don't have much time left to pretend. When the future shrinks, the past gets louder. And lately, the past has been asking me one question over and over. What was I waiting for? These days, my world is small. A kitchen table with one chair that actually gets used, a window that faces the street where I recognize fewer faces each year. My body moves slower than my thoughts, and my thoughts wander places my body can't follow anymore. There's time now, too much of it in a way. Time to remember, time to sit with things I used to push aside because I was busy. That word followed me my whole life, busy. I wore it like proof that I mattered. When I was younger, in my 20s, I didn't think of myself as someone who delayed life. I thought I was being careful, responsible. I had plans, sensible ones. Get established, build something solid, make sure the ground was steady before I stepped too far out. That felt mature at the time. I told myself I'd travel when work calmed down. I'd spend more time with people once things were less hectic. I'd take risks later, when I knew more, when I was more secure, when the timing made sense. It all sounded reasonable. Nobody warns you that reasonable choices can hollow you out just as surely as reckless ones. In my 30s, life filled up fast, a job that demanded long hours but paid well enough to justify them, a routine that felt productive, alarm clocks, commutes, dinners eaten while half thinking about tomorrow. I remember telling myself, this is just a season. I really believed that. There were moments back then, small ones, invitations I declined because I was tired, conversations I postponed because I didn't feel ready, calls I meant to return when I had more mental space. I wasn't avoiding life on purpose. I just kept putting it slightly out of reach, like something fragile I didn't want to mishandle yet. People around me seemed to understand, or maybe they didn't and they just stopped asking. It's hard to tell looking back. What I do know is that nobody sat me down and said, "You're running out of time," and even if they had, I probably wouldn't have believed them. Time feels generous when you're young. It feels like something that renews itself overnight. In my 40s, the waiting became more subtle. I wasn't saying someday as much. I was saying after this project or once things settle. There was always a next thing that needed to be finished first, always a reason why now wasn't quite right. I remember standing in the doorway one evening, coat still on, briefcase in my hand, listening to laughter from another room. People I cared about were there. I could have joined them. Instead, I said I'd be back later. I needed to clear my head. I needed a little quiet. I told myself I'd enjoy it more if I wasn't distracted. Later never really came. The cost of waiting didn't announce itself. It didn't arrive with a single disaster or dramatic failure. It came in pieces so small I barely noticed them at the time. A birthday missed because of work, a friendship that faded because I kept saying soon, a relationship that slowly lost its warmth because presence was always postponed. I told myself these things were temporary, that once I reached a certain point, I'd show up fully. I didn't see that the habit of waiting became my life. By my 50s, some doors had quietly closed. I didn't hear them slam. I just noticed one day that knocking didn't work anymore. People had moved on. Lives had reshaped themselves without me in the center. I still had acquaintances, colleagues, familiar faces, but fewer people who truly knew me. I started to feel tired in a different way then, not just physically. Tired of explaining why I hadn't done certain things yet. Tired of carrying ideas I never acted on. tired of telling myself the same comforting lies about timing. I remember thinking, I'll make up for it later. That's a dangerous sentence. It assumes life keeps receipts. The turning point, if I can call it that, didn't feel dramatic either. It was a phone call, a simple one. Someone telling me that a person I had known for decades was gone. Not ill for long, not some drawn-out goodbye, just gone. I sat there afterward, holding the phone, realizing how long it had been since we'd had a real conversation. Not a quick update, not a polite check-in, a real one. I always assumed there would be another chance, another visit, another afternoon where we'd sit and talk about nothing important. That was the moment something shifted, just enough that I couldn't ignore it anymore. I saw my own life more clearly then, and the pattern was hard to unsee. How many times had I delayed things that mattered because I thought they would wait for me? Illness came a few years after that, nothing dramatic at first, just enough to remind me that my body wasn't infinite either. Doctors' offices have a way of stripping away your illusions. Sitting there, listening to test results, I realized how casually I had treated time as if it were something I could borrow from indefinitely. That's when the weight really settled in. Not panic, sadness. A steady, grounded sadness that didn't go away when I distracted myself. I began to understand that certain things weren't delayed anymore, they were gone. Careers can end, dreams can cool, people can forgive or forget, but time doesn't return what you didn't use. There are things now that simply cannot be fixed, conversations that will never happen, paths I can't step onto at this age, no matter how much I wish I'd tried earlier. Versions of myself that only existed as intentions. I used to think regret came from failure, from doing something wrong. What I've learned is that some of the deepest regret comes from the life you kept preparing for instead of living. In old age, loneliness has a particular sound. It's not loud, it's the absence of noise. Fewer phones ringing, fewer reasons to leave the house, days blending together because there's nothing urgent to separate them. I don't say this to complain, this is just how it is. People assume that if you worked hard, if you stayed busy, if you did what you were supposed to do, you'd be surrounded by meaning in the end. That hasn't been my experience. Productivity filled my days, but presence would have filled my life. Now when I look back, I don't judge my younger self harshly. I understand why I made the choices I did. I was trying to be safe. I was trying to be dependable. I thought waiting was a form of wisdom. I didn't know it could become a form of avoidance. If you're listening to this, I don't know your age. I don't know what responsibilities you're carrying. I know you probably have good reasons for waiting. I had good reasons too. They made sense at the time. All I can offer is this truth, earned slowly and painfully. The right time is often just a story we tell ourselves to make delay feel acceptable. Life doesn't usually open up a perfect window and invite you in. It just keeps moving whether you step forward or not. I'm not saying you should abandon your obligations or make reckless choices. I'm saying that the moments you keep postponing are the ones most likely to disappear. The conversation you mean to have when things calm down. The version of yourself you'll allow once you feel ready. The presence you'll offer when you're less tired. Later is fragile. Later is not guaranteed. I don't have advice in the way people usually mean it. I only have a confession. I waited so long to begin living fully that by the time I realized what I'd done, there wasn't much room left to change it. I made peace with that, mostly. Some days are easier than others. If this story stirred something in you, sit with it for a moment. You don't have to do anything dramatic. Just notice what you're telling yourself you'll get to later. Notice how often that word shows up. As for me, my days are quieter now. I do small things more slowly. I pay attention in ways I didn't before. I'm grateful for what I had, even as I mourn what I missed. Both can exist at the same time. I don't have many years left, I know that, and strangely, that makes the days feel more honest. There's no pretending anymore, just what is, and what was, and what will never be. If you're willing, carry this with you gently, not as a warning shouted from a distance, but as a voice from someone who waited too long for a moment that never arrived. This is me finally saying it out loud, because there's no reason to wait anymore.